everybody, welcome back to Saturday Shop Talk. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It's over for us now. Obviously, it's Saturday.
It is. The meal's not over.
We had an absolutely full house, a loud house, a busy house, and we loved every minute of it. We had all the kids here. The grandkids were all here. It was chaos, but it was the best kind of chaos. So it was great to have Thanksgiving. And now that it's over, it's time to get back to work. We have a lot of comments to go through today with the launch the day before Thanksgiving of PromoNoMo and the last video that came out, or the last two videos that came out. We did get quite a few comments. So I've got some postcards to get through today, and we've got a whole lot of comments to read. So we're just going to jump in. We're going to get to it. We'll start with our first stack of postcards here. But in the meantime, we've got ERPC3DX left a comment. This was on our Wednesday video, and he says, your Bill Nye comment was based. I'm going to be honest with you. I had to look up what that meant. I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but it seems like you meant it in a good way, and it seems like that's a good thing. So we're gonna take that as a compliment, and I believe that's the way you meant it. So thank you. Let's see, the Timo Dejin, like the Temu Genie, says, I do end and relist and have found a way to keep track of it, found a way to keep track of and easily sort how old items are in the SKU field. Yeah, we talked about that a few times. It's not hard. It's not a difficult thing to end and sell similar and just put your listed date in the SKU field. I understand that. We've actually talked about that a few times. It's something that I won't do. And it's not because I'm just being like stubborn and old and I don't want to do it. It's an additional task onto what we already do, and our stores are much too large to manage manually when things list and do sales from when things list and everything. If it's just in the SKU field, it's just unmanageable for us. That's a completely personal decision. But let's see what else. Very first entry is the date. Yep. Originally listed on June. So all I need to do is click on the column, sort by SKU in Seller Hub, and then all my items are sort in starting. Can you sort by SKU? I'll have to look and see if you can actually sort by SKU. I don't know if you can. And even if you could, wouldn't month like 12 come before, well, there is no month 20. Wouldn't month 12 come in before month 2? It depends on how it sorts numbers versus text. I don't know. I'm not sure if you can or you can't, but it sounds like you're doing that. So if that's working for you, that's awesome. That's just, like I said, it's one extra step that we choose not to do. That's why we talked about it in that video. Is that's not, it's not an extra step we're in a position to be able to do because of how many items and how many stores we have. But I know that system that you're talking about works for a lot of people. So let's see. Retro Wasteland says, happy Thanksgiving. One quick question. I do have a small store, on average 750 items, and I generally do across the board promotions, either 2% or 2.1 or 3.1 as soon as I list my items. We do very similar, different percentages, but same thing. How beneficial would PromoNoMo be for my small store, especially the new changes coming to promoted listings? P.S. Your Bill Nye comments had me busting out laughing. I think that's an easy question to answer for anybody, because I don't believe PromoNoMo is the right answer for everybody. And we said that right from the start in the very beginning video. It was very much made and tailored to us, the way we do business, the way we do things. And it was made that way because it was made for us. And it just happened to be more universally useful, so we decided to put it out there. I think the way to answer that question is to pull up your last 30 days and your last 90 days under campaigns and see what you actually spent in promoted listing fees. If you're promoting across the board like we do, which it sounds like you are, no matter what you promote in terms of percentage-wise, look at the fees you spent. If you spent, just say on yours, you'd be on the basic plan, so like $14 a month. If you spent $50 on promoted fees in the last 31 days, and this could cut that in half, then that answers your question. That's a very easy question to answer. If you're spending $14 a month in promoted listings and you're going to cut it in half by spending an additional $14 on PromoNoMo, that makes no sense. Like, please, people, don't do that. Like, you have to do this we built it to be a strategic tool. You have to think of it that way and find out if you could cut your promoted listings in half, would that make it worthwhile for your store? Is that something that would be beneficial to you to pay for? Would you be net positive? In our case, it cut 1,000 into 500. It cut a little more than that. It cut it 53% in what we pay for promoted listings. So even at the top tier, if we had enough items to put us at the $124 a month or whatever that top tier is right now with 100,000 items, it would still 4 or 5 times the amount pay us back. So I would still pay for this if it wasn't our software. So absolutely, it's a very easy thing to figure out if you want to pay for this or if you should pay for this. Look at what you're spending on promoted fees and decide if spending an extra $14 or $24 or $39 or whatever plan you need to be on, if that were to cut your promoted fees in half, is that worth it? If the answer is yes, then I would have to proudly endorse PromoNoMo. Let's see. Whoops, I didn't save those. Don't do that, silly. Okay, so the next one here is Audrey Muzingo. Says, I certainly don't blame you for changing this or for charging for this, but even the lowest tier is maybe not cost effective for sellers like me with under 2,500 listings. I do have a very high sell-through rate because I aggressively maximize newness visibility within and sell similar at 30 days, send offers and promote all listings. Higher than some people, 6%, but only about 40 to 50% of my sales are via promotion. Because of all the babysitting I do, I prefer to call it hustling. But okay, maybe I'm just glamorizing a pretty tedious set of tasks. Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. I don't like the hustle culture. At one point in my life, when I was in my 30s and we were doing e-commerce, we were very deep into the hustle culture. Like one of the things I used to say all the time was find somebody that'll outwork me, and they're going to do better than me, because I would work 18 hours in a day and it would be productive work. And I think a little bit of ADHD hyper focus really helps on that. And that always used to be kind of my mantra. You want to beat me? Outwork me, period. Like I was all in on the hustle culture. I don't like that anymore. We've gone in reverse, and it's not because that's not valid and it doesn't work. If you have the time and you can invest that in your business, there's nothing wrong with hustling. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we are actively, at this stage in our life, we are trying to do less work for the same amount of money. We are trying to optimize, be more efficient, and not do those, what, like, in quotes here, the tedious set of tasks, because that's what they are. And frankly, because we're still doing a ton of work. We are still hustling, if that's what you want to call it. We don't have time to hustle on every silly little eBay tweak that comes along on YouTube that people say, well, this'll make your items move faster. Like, okay, fine. If it does, that's great. Can you do all of them? Do you have time to do all those little tasks? And the answer for us was a resounding no. We don't have time nor the desire to do every little tweak and hack. So we tried to automate things and make things less complicated. So if it works for you and you have the time and you don't mind the hustle, there's nothing wrong with the way you're doing it. I would say with a 2,500 item store, we have one of our stores that's well under that, and it has paid for itself 2 times over and taken us less work. We don't have to babysit it. All right, Nellis Emporium, have a great fourth quarter. Nellie's, sorry, Nellie. Have a great fourth quarter. Thank you. And same to you. I hope you crush it this fourth quarter. MG 2023 Faith says, congrats on the PromoNoMo platform. I saw this on Wednesday. So you've probably had 2 or 3 days of data to indicate how well it's being received by the closest followers. I bet you've even had some good feedback comments now too. Since I'm still not reselling at scale yet, I don't have a workaround of my own. I don't have enough product to have a shop or business account yet. Yeah, and that's important. If you don't have one of the paid for store subscriptions, you can't even use PromoNoMo. It won't work because you don't have the same capability to create campaigns and stuff like that. Let's see. I do believe when I get to that point, I'll be hopping on board. Thank you for being attentive, innovative, and sharing with the reseller community. Thank you, Faith. We really appreciate that. We worked really hard on the product and it wasn't for the community, but I do think it was helpful enough and and saved us enough that I would have almost felt guilty not sharing it with the community. But we can't do it at a loss, which is why there is a cost to it. And I think there was some more comments about the cost coming up. So we'll cover some more of that. But I really appreciate your comment. And I hope you get your big enough store to where it makes sense for you financially, because that means you're in a better position. So here's to fourth quarter for you. Let's see. Don't save. It messed up my scan. I'm going to have a lot of messed up scans today because I'm scanning cards that are embossed. Is that how you say it?
Embossed, yes.
Embossed. I always say embossed. They're embossed and they don't go through the scanner super friendly. So you'll have to forgive me a few pauses today. Julie Cueva? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Julie, happy Thanksgiving. May you and your family be blessed always. I love your videos. Thank you very much. And I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving too. Ours was awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better Thanksgiving. My diet could have asked for a better Thanksgiving. We didn't do so great. We stuck to our fasting schedule. We didn't eat before lunch. We didn't eat after 8 o'clock. But in between those times when we were allowed to eat, Pops put on the turkey. So I'm not expecting great results on the weight loss journey this week.
I have to break out the treadmill.
I might have to break out the freight scale just to weigh in. All right. Forbidden dairy? Lactose intolerant, maybe? Forbidden Dairy says, ever since eBay announced the January 13th change, I've been expecting to see apps to deal with this. This is the first one I've seen. Very good idea. Just wanted to mention one thing. You keep mentioning 1 or 2%. The minimum rate is 2%. We haven't been able to do 1% for a few years now. Yeah, I had to go back and watch the video again after I read your comment the first time here. I don't know if we said 1% anywhere. If we did, it was a mistake. But I do know we addressed it specifically and made sure that we said 2% was the lowest you could go. I do know we did address that. But thank you for the heads up. You're absolutely right. And hopefully you're not lactose intolerant. I don't like it when people miss out on ice cream. All right. Idea Pad says, good stuff. This is all in caps, by the way, so I'm not sure if I should shout or good stuff. I won't do that. It says, good stuff. I'm glad you pay Jamie's bonus, and I don't. Maybe even consider increasing your promo percent.
That was snarky.
I think he was being snarky here, or maybe he was joking. I don't know. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll say you're telling a good joke here. He's talking about Jamie as in the CEO, Jamie Ione's bonus. Look, if I could pay Jamie's bonus or contribute to it in some way, and it makes me more money, which one of us is the fool here? I mean, if it's making me more money, do I want to begrudge the CEO his bonus if I can do something they want me to do and it actually one makes me more money or saves me money? I don't see the issue here. I'm missing the point maybe, because I see this as do I like spending promoted listing money in order to have to make my sales? No, I don't disagree with that. I totally get that. But am I willing to spend that if it makes me more sales and now I have a way to spend less of that for the same amount of sales? This sounds like a non-argument situation here. I mean, I think it's a win-win. So I don't know what else to say about that other than next time maybe not all caps, because I can't shout your comment.
I can.
Loot & Co. Hey guys. Says, great discussion. Thank you for your time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you guys. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving too. Hopefully you didn't work too hard. We didn't. I did sneak in listings before the family all arrived. I snuck in some listings early. So I did get a little bit done, but we pretty much took the whole day off and really didn't do anything. I had to babysit the PromoNoMo signups and stuff like that a little bit on Thanksgiving. We did have a few people in and out of there that I had to pay attention to. But for the most part, we took it easy. We just enjoyed the Thanksgiving. Silver Hair Stacker, hey Todd. He says, is crap ton similar to shitload and big ass bunch and buttload and hellacious big? Wow, this Nomo thing of yours sounds better than having a pair of silver tongs. Great video. So thank you, Todd. Thank you, Todd. And yes, those measurements are roughly all the same, give or take a small crap load. So you're right on target there. Second Life Shop says, Happy Thanksgiving. We had ours last month in Canada, Diane. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. I hope yours went well. Yeah, I can't speak for all Americans, but we tend to forget, or here in this house, we tend to forget that other countries have different holidays and at different times than us. But I do have enough Canadian friends to know you guys did yours last month. I did know that. We're actually talking to a few people, some expats in Spain.
They're celebrating today, aren't
They're
they?
celebrating today. So they're just doing it with a bunch of other expats from America in Spain there. So I'm glad you guys I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I am glad if you did. Second Life Shop also says, is PromoNoMo only for people in the States? I got hit with being blocked from this site.
Yep.
Yes. Currently it's built for eBay.com, the US site only. We are planning to expand that if there's a need for it, if we see a good enough adoption and it's going well. That is on the top of our list as far as things that we want to do, is expand it to at least Canada, UK, and Australia to start. So we do plan to do that. That is high on our list. So right now, if you're outside the US, you found out, it just won't even let you go to the website. Let's see. Patty D says, thankfully, I have only had to do that 3 or 4 times in 24 years, but that's what I do before I cancel. I offer something else or ask them if they want to cancel. She's talking about Teresa's mistake in our last video, where technically Teresa should have asked them if they wanted to cancel instead of just canceling and taking the ding. So yeah, that's something we learned on YouTube from another YouTuber, is that little cancel. If you have to cancel something, ask them if they would like to cancel it situation actually does work. So we just didn't do a very good job of doing that. But that is what we try to do. Sometimes we forget, sometimes we get in a hurry. But that does tend to work better, and it's a lot easier on your eBay account. All right, who do we got next here? We got, that's a long one here from Goat Digs. Says, so the way I justified promoted listings in my head was to view it as an offer, but there's a bonus that's more impulsive purchases at full price are made with promoted listings. I know this because as soon as I flipped promoted listings on around 4 months ago, my sales basically 3 to 4x'd. So it's the cost of doing business. Ultimately, other sellers promoting less is good for everyone else that is promoting, as we should, in theory, get quicker sales. And I get it, the fees suck and eBay's pretty egregious. Egregious? I'm not sure what that word is. I've heard it before. Pretty bad about this, but it's all a game that we have to play alongside. I also have an advantage. I do this part-time as a hobby. If I make less, that's okay. If it's the same argument for live selling, fast nickels better than the slow dime. Disagree with that. I agree with everything you've said here, except the fast nickels better than the slow dime. I disagree with that. I disagree with the premise of live selling in some situations. I totally get it in other situations, and we have used it before. But we use it for stuff that we can't move in a reasonable amount of time on eBay. We don't use it on just anything. Like I don't believe that pushing 500 items through in a day at 1/10 of the retail value is better than pushing 500 items through in a year at full retail value. And the reason I don't buy that is, one, it's a very hard model to sustain for us. Like, it doesn't work for us for this reason, not for everybody. We can't find 500 items a day. Like, we can't keep up with that pace. So even if we found them and we moved them through at 1/10 of the eBay value, unless, and we'll put a caveat here because some bigger YouTubers are going to argue with this. If you have a massive YouTube following and you could sell to your audience to where you're selling a used pair of crusty socks for what a brand new pair would go on eBay, fine. Like, I could see where that model makes sense. One, I don't feel good doing that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just personally don't feel good doing that. And two, you still have to go find those 500 items a day, which I know a lot of people say that, these YouTubers that are doing this and they're making bank and they've got it on easy street because they have their followers. They still have to find those 500 items a day. And that is a ton of work, like more work than I want to do. So that's why it doesn't really fit into our business model for those two reasons. But I like your thoughts on the promoted listings, and I largely agree with pretty much everything you said there. Red Piano 1 says, what do you think about a seller who has something that is so unique that it's not in a competitive category? For example, a seller has a bronze bowl from insert Chinese dynasty here. So there may have been 2 or 3 of them on eBay, but you're certainly not competing with every bowl seller on the planet. Is it worth promoting that item? And is it worth promoting it at the rate that eBay suggests? Always some unprofitably high percentage. No, that's something that I would almost immediately exclude from our promotion if we were doing our promote everything like we've always done. And the reason is because it simply doesn't need to be promoted. It's silly to promote something that doesn't need the promotion. Now, what needs the promotion and what doesn't need the promotion, it doesn't even have to be unique. It could just be, if we were selling a TI-84 calculator, even though there's thousands on eBay, every time we list one, it sells in a week. Like the sell-through rate is astounding. Point and click cameras, things like that, where it really doesn't matter how much competition is there. They sell so fast, it's going to sell. There's no reason to promote those, which is what was really bothering me about our old way of promoting, which is we don't have time to mess with this. Just turn promotions on. Everything that goes in there gets promoted. And that's the way we've done it for years. And that's why it bothered me so much, because even those type of items, because of the way we did it, would get promoted. And we didn't have time to manage them individually. We just didn't have that kind of time. So to answer your question, no, I wouldn't promote that item if I thought that was a unique item. And the second half of your question, well, I guess let me finish up on the first half here. I wouldn't promote it, but if it got to be 6 months old, maybe it's rare, but maybe it's also not that desirable. So in that case, if it aged into my promotions that are aged promotions using the PromoNoMo, I would let it promote at that point. I would give it that little extra bump, because just because something's rare does not make it desirable. So if it sits for a long time, then I might need to give it a little extra love. So that's the way I'd handle that. As the second part of your question was promoting at eBay's suggested rate. Don't ever do that. Don't don't ever promote at eBay's their suggested rates are insane.
I'm gonna block you for a second, so stop. Sorry.
Got to get some pliers. We actually had, since I've started using PromoNoMo, when I go to the app, the eBay app, they tell me, hey, you're not promoting these items. If you promote today, you're going to get better sales faster, blah, blah, blah. They put that big pop-up right on the app. And their suggestion for what I should promote a $3 postcard at is like 16 or 17%. I don't know where they get their numbers, but eBay is on crack when it comes to their recommended promotion rates. Like they're not even, I don't think they could find somebody promoting postcards that high. And if they are, look, you can have it. You can have it. I don't want it anymore. Like, I'm not going to do that. I sell postcards just fine promoting at 3 or 4%. I don't need to promote at 16. So that would be my answer on the second part. Never use their suggestions. Never use their suggestions for pricing items either. When you're listing an item, it says, we typically see these sell most often at this price. They're lying. They're not even close. TikTok says, fun fact, a crapload, buttload, shipload is slang for an actual obsolete medieval liquid measurement of a butt, which equals the size of 2 adult hog heads. So
then I have a buttload.
So what he's saying is we're using an actual real measurement. We're just using it incorrectly. And I like that actually has, it actually has some history to it. So it's always good to know where our sayings come from. Let's see, Stephen Vash says, cool sounding tool. I plan on a different approach. I figure once this rolls out, many people will stop promoting. Many others will lower percentage. So this means that we should get the same results even if we promote lower. So I'm going to drop my 7 to 4%. I think that will maintain the sales I'm used to and cost about the same. It's all theory, but it makes sense to me. No, that makes sense to me too. I don't know. I do know some people are doing exactly what you said. They're kind of rage quitting promotions. I'm not going to give eBay any money. I'm very happy that that's happening. I'm very happy those people are doing that, because all I see that as is is people bowing out of the race. If we're all lined up getting ready to do a 100-yard dash and half the audience says, that's a long way, I'm not doing it, screw the track meet. I only have to race against 50 people. That means I probably don't have to run as fast to win it. Maybe I do. Maybe there's still a really fast guy in there. But that's all a good thing. I don't have any issues with that. I'll be interested to hear how that goes. I am interested to see how that goes for you. It's as good a theory as any, to be honest. I hear a lot of eBay theories. It's as good as any. So you'll have to check back in at some point and tell us how it went once you have some numbers to tie to that. Junkman says names can indeed be difficult. How about Grams and Pop's vintage ideas on gender identity for this one?
Is that snarky?
No, I think he was just making fun of our Bill Nye comment. That's funny. We do struggle with names.
Snarky or not.
Let's see. We gotta see if this one actually went through. I think it did. Yay! I had a postcard stuck in the dang scanner. I didn't know it. All right, what do we got next here? Rupp Music, RUPP Music says, I'd love to see how you pack that helicopter. I wish I would have recorded it, to be honest. I was pretty proud of that packing job. We didn't, but I could kind of tell you how I packed it. I took bubble wrap and I folded it in half, and I wrapped it around the rotor blades until they were thick enough to touch the base of the helicopter on the top so they couldn't spin. Then I bubble wrapped the entire thing. Then I wrapped it the long way in cardboard, like all the way around it in cardboard, bubble wrapped the cardboard, and then packed it in a box with paper all the way around it. So that's how we actually packed that helicopter. There's no way that thing's getting broke. My phone keeps shutting off on me here. A. Yoakum says, if you are promoting all items under your current system, then you are willing to pay the promoted percent when the item sells, but you have decided to find a workaround to paying the promoted percent on all items under the new system. So actually you didn't want to pay the promoted percent in the first place. You have me confused. Well,
We're willing to pay it, just not necessarily on the stuff that's less than 30 days.
Honestly, this comment has me a little bit confused, but let me see if I can clear it up for both of us using a bit of an analogy here. If I decide to take the whole family out and go eat at a restaurant, am I willing to pay the full price of what that meal is going to cost me? Yep, I've already committed to it. I said, we're all going out, let's go. We have no idea. We know it's probably going to cost us $100. Whatever the case is, I'm willing to pay it. Let's go. Now the guy at the table behind me leans over and says, hey man, if you just walk up to the counter, they got a 50% coupon for today. Go grab that. Am I going to say, you know what? I was willing to pay the whole price. Leave me alone. Quit being a creeper. No, I'm going to get off my ass and walk up and get the 50% off coupon. Because while I'm willing to pay the whole amount, if you have an opportunity to pay less and you don't take that, you're borderline on the spectrum, I think, a little bit. I don't know why anybody would pass that opportunity up when it's this easy. So I hope that clears it up. And I'm not saying you're on the spectrum. I'm just clearing up like the way I think about it. That's why I think about it that way. It's not about not being willing to pay that percent. I 100% am. But if you know how and you can avoid paying that whole percent and it's easy and it makes it less work, I don't see the argument for paying the whole amount. I mean, unless you have like kids working at eBay or have eBay stock and you're just trying to help your kids out or something, I don't see a real argument for why you would pay more than you have to when it actually makes your life easier and less complicated. I hope that clears that up. AJ John says a crap ton. Totally knew what you mean. It's a South Dakota thing. See, it is pretty common here, I think. Let's see, did I do it again? I did it again. I scanned the wrong cards into the wrong slot. All right. Time to get back on track here. Maybe I'm a little bit off today, I think. I got to get into the right folder here. Let's see. What's our next comment? Carolyn Ross says, thanks for sharing the methods that work for you since all sellers face this challenge. PromoNoMo, good one. Thank you. I have items promoted on eBay now, but that ends soon. I have ideas for other ways to address this. Always open to hearing other strategies. Wow, you have 4 eBay stores? We do. We do have 4 eBay stores. And I think Carolyn said something really important there. And that was about open to hearing other ideas. This is what's working for me right now, this moment. But it's also why we asked in the last video for your guys' ideas. And I would never crap on those ideas, no matter how good or bad I thought they were. I will explain why, if I hear an idea and it doesn't sound like it's a better idea than what I have for our business, I'll explain why it might not work for us. But I would never discredit those other ideas. It's why we always ask you guys for your ideas, because those ideas are, that's how you grow. I mean, when we've heard several things over the last 4 years where we're like, can't believe we didn't think of that, and we implement it, and it either works or it doesn't work. But if you're not willing to listen, if you just got the old man complex, and you're like, I'm not changing anything I do. This way works for me, and it has since 1995. What good is that going to do you, other than just keep you right where you are? And if that's your goal, you can't even crap on that. If that really is your goal and you just want to stay right where you are, who's to say you shouldn't? So that is a very important part of what we do, is we do look for other people's ideas. We're always interested in hearing them. Virginia Carolina Pickers says, great video as always. I changed my name. I'm incognito now. Virginia Carolina. Who is that? You are incognito, because I'm not sure.
But that's like Virginia and Carolina. Like, which state do you live in?
I'm not sure who you are. You might have to tell us what your old name was, because I'm not sure who you are. You are truly incognito here. Kenneth Young says, Star Wars equals money. Not always. I will say not always.
No.
I don't know. If you go look at the Grams and Pops Vintage eBay store, you'll get an idea of how many hundreds of items we have listed under $8, $9 that are Star Wars items. Even new in package from the 90s, Star Wars items are often only a $7, $8 item. So they're not always money, but we did get lucky. We had enough of them, and we had enough really good ones that are money. So I can't disagree. This Star Wars lot has been absolutely cash in vain. Let's see. Craig Winans? Craig. I don't normally promote, but I'm promoting my Christmas stuff right now because Christmas. Starting January, I'll be tested out, promoted this way. I'm willing to give it 20% off on virtually all my non-trading card stuff. So I'll be doing promoted at up to 10%, and the other 10% will be for offers. It really doesn't matter if eBay or customer gets that percentage as long as the end result's the same. Yeah. Oh, here's the rest of that. As long as the end result's the same. I'll also be doing that 30, 60-day wait to promote. To me, this is the best headache-free way to do promoted for those with formal and promoted. It'll cost you no more than what you were already willing to do, and you get the best compromise between both offers and promoted. I do like the PromoNoMo idea, though, but at my current value of items sold, it wouldn't be cost-effective. Yeah. And that 30 to 60-day wait before promoting, that's the problem we were trying to solve. Like, that's the whole thing, is 40% of our items we listed that sell, probably maybe even a little higher than that, sold in that 30 to 60-day window. And I think they would have sold even without promotions. So we didn't want to be promoting that early, but managing it manually was just too big of a headache. So I like what your approach here. And if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have built PromoNoMo. I mean, I think that approach right now is a great approach. Mr. Huge Ass Esquire. Nice. I love that name. Language isn't our first language, huh? What? See? We were accurate. Juan Tovar says, great score on the Star Wars. I learned in Mexico bee pollen was the food of the Aztec warriors. It's the pollen of the flowers the bee eats and then throw up to save the food for the kids. Hope to check the benefits of the bee pollen. Give it a try. It's best shoot only a pinch from the beginning and then followed by a fruit, or just add a spoonful of. Now we got a lot of bee pollen education in this last week. With the explanation we had last week, I was still convinced bee pollen was honey. It has been fully and in great detail explained to us now by several people. And thank you guys for everybody that did comment. I didn't know there was such a thing as bee pollen, the way you guys explained it. I honestly didn't know that was a thing. But once you guys explained it, we kind of know now what that is. It is something I think we'll look into, because I didn't even know that was, I had no idea. So yes, bee pollen is different than honey. It's two different things. And the way I understand it is bee pollen is actually collected by basically scraping it off their legs as they go into the hives. It's a different collection. It's not the honey. It's not collected in the same way at all. So I appreciate the education. We could always use it, that's for sure. Let's see, BD 2864 says, how much is a reach around eBay? What?
What?
How much is a reach around on eBay? I'm not sure you can
That
buy
didn't
that.
actually say that, did it?
Oh, that's what it says.
Shame, shame, shame.
I'm not sure you can
We don't sell reach
buy
around.
that on eBay. I don't know. I think the closest you could get to that on eBay is probably the feeling you get when you pay the promoted listing value that eBay wants you to pay. So that's how much it costs. Depends. Winter Antiques. I believe that's Josh. Let's see. Don't say that. Josh says, I mostly do what's sold, what I'm working on in my death file type videos. I need to learn to edit and get a camera for it. Have any advice for a starter camera for lives and YouTube? Yeah, I don't know if it's good advice. I have advice. I think if you're looking at doing lives, I would say just get a cheap $20 webcam that hooks up to your laptop off of Amazon. You don't need anything great. Just find a 1080p like USB webcam. They work just fine. Most times I just use the camera on my laptop for lives. I'm not using any other camera than that for the lives. Now, once you're not talking lives, if you're making videos, the GoPros work fine. Even the older GoPros, if you go back to like a GoPro 9, I think they're on like 11 or some crap now. Like a GoPro 9 works great for YouTube videos, for recording. If you want to get a little bit higher end and have a little better resolution, stuff like that, I use the Sony ZV-1. That's the camera that finally went out on us after 4 years. And since it went out and I had to upgrade, it was going to cost me about the same amount to buy the new camera I wanted, or just upgrade straight to the Osmo Pocket 3. So that's what we went. We're currently using the Osmo Pocket 3. I can't recommend that for a new channel. I mean, if money's not an object and you can afford that, great. It is cost prohibitive. That camera, to get the camera with the tripod and the extra battery, the package deal, it's a little over $700. It's not a cheap camera, and it's not needed. Now, I'll also say this, probably the best advice for somebody that wants to start on YouTube and just get started and not spend a bunch of money on a camera, use your cell phone. The cameras on the cell phone are just as good as the GoPros. It's a little kludgier to handle. Your files can't probably be quite as big unless you have plenty of storage space on your phone. But for recording the videos, they do just as good a job. So the camera on your cell phone, I mean, for the first year, it's pretty much what we use, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that would be probably where I would start. All right, let's see what do we got now. Mitchell's Vobata. Mitchell's VODA. Mitchell's Vobata. I just watched you guys for the first time. You guys are hilarious, and you do good. Give good info. See, language isn't our first language. You do give.
You give good information?
Give good information. What she said.
Jiminy Christmas.
On what to look for in Barbie dolls. Oh, this is a comment on our Barbie video. I subscribed, so I'll be watching your videos again. Well, thank you, and welcome to this channel. We're glad you're here. That Barbie video is an old video that just keeps popping up. Like, it's like a bad case of shingles that pops up about once a year and just gets more views, but that's a good thing. I'm glad it does, and thank you for subscribing. Bonnie says, I don't enjoy the picking videos either. It's too much microphone noise. Yeah, that sound is super important. I should just quit now. I can't say words. Sound is super important. If you have you could get away with bad video and subpar video and just bad angles and grainy video. You can get away with a lot with bad video. You cannot get away with a lot when it comes to bad sound. If it's bad sound, people tend to they're out right away. Eric Gunter says honey is regular. Okay, I won't read this whole one. It's some more of our education on bee pollen versus honey, and he's absolutely right. It took us a while to get it, but with the help of you guys, we did end up getting that. Susan Rubinski, on the Etsy question, I make way more on Etsy than eBay. Less fees, spectacular platform. I only use eBay to dump off old stuff from Etsy, but I sell vintage mainly. I'm actually interested, Susan, in digging into this with you because that's intriguing. My first thought when I read this is, okay, but I don't hear a lot of people doing what we're doing who are doing it at a scale to make a real living on Etsy. I hear some people that are doing well and running businesses on Etsy, and they're doing like print on demand or 3D printed dragons and stuff like that. But even then, it's not at a scale. It's not at a comparable scale. Like in terms of actually making a real living, paying all your bills, you got the extra money, whatever. I'm curious, are you part-time or full-time? Do you make a living on Etsy? And if you do, I'm really interested in hearing about that story. And I'm not saying at all that you're not. I just very rarely, if ever, hear of someone. I hear of people saying they do well on Etsy, but those are almost always anecdotal comments. It's always from a part-timer that's, I collect vintage stuff and I sell stuff on Etsy and I do pretty well and I make a few $1,000s here and there and it does really well and I don't have to pay eBay fees. Great. Can you make the same quality of life living on Etsy doing what we do as you do on eBay? And I've never heard anybody really address that and say, yes, Etsy crushes eBay, or Etsy is very compatible or comparable in terms of what you can make to eBay. I've just not heard it. And I'm not saying it's not true. I just have not heard it. I have no evidence of it. So I am interested to know if you're picking from garage sales and estate sales and storage lockers and you focus mainly on vintage, which we don't. We sell a lot of newer stuff, but we also sell a lot of vintage. Can you do the mid six-figure marks on Etsy? Is that a sustainable thing? Well, forget the gross numbers. Get out of those. Can you net 10 to 12,000 a month on Etsy? What you take home based on whatever it takes to sell that much? And that would be my question. And if that answer is yes, and it may be, I would actually love to talk to you more about it because I've not heard anybody make that claim, like at all. Let's see. I got my phone goofy here. There we go. All right. Mariah Gage says, I like what you said about the promoted listings to be able to do it based on how many days it's been listed. Thank you, Mariah. It's been a game changer for us for sure. And then Sarah Weiss gave us some more bee pollen stuff. Says it's not the same as honey. She's absolutely right. AZ Cat Sue. I still probably won't promote, but will be interested in seeing how things work out for everyone that does. I do still delist, relist with List Perfectly.
Ooh.
Case in point, that work today ended and relisted a cup and saucer that I've had almost a year and it sold in less than an hour. You know,
Good news.
Good news. Yeah, we do have some good news, but we had bad news. We started onboarding new people onto PromoNoMo. One of the things we said right out of the gate, if you end and sell similar, this is not for you. PromoNoMo is not for you if you end and sell similar because you delete your item date. It doesn't know when you listed that item. It doesn't know how old it is. And that has been our stance from the beginning. And it's one of the reasons we don't end and sell similar. And we've been pretty steadfast with that opinion, I guess you could say. It's as soon as people started getting on the app, we very quickly started hearing from people saying, hey, I'm using Nifty or List Perfectly or I do it manually, but I end and sell similar. This isn't working right. And we heard you. we heard you. So this is one of those situations where my way, even though it's the right way for me, was very quickly combative with the way everybody else does it. So PromoNoMo now has an update. It has been changed. If you're doing end and sell similar with Nifty or List Perfectly or any of those apps, or you're doing it manually, PromoNoMo will now respect the end and sell similar. Now, I will say if you're changing titles and prices and SKUs and everything when you in and sell similar, it still isn't going to know, because essentially you are creating a brand new item. And if you change everything about the item, it doesn't know that that's a different item or the same item. But when we pull your items, it's going to see everything you in and sold similar as listed when you last listed it. But from that day on, it's going to check against your ended and sold similar items coming in. And rather than saying, hey, that old item's not here anymore, the new item is here, it's going to compare them. And if it could say within a 90% certainty that this is the same item, it's just been ended and sold similar, it's going to just update the product ID. So it's going to retain the age of your old item. So even if you're ending and selling similar with one of these apps, it's still going to respect the original date from when PromoNoMo first saw the item, which means it will still age-based promote that item. So that was thanks to you guys. We had enough people say this has to work or it ain't going to work for me. It now does work. It's been tested and it's been implemented. So if you're new to PromoNoMo, grab your items. It's going to use the listed as date you currently have. Even if you've listed and sold similar yesterday is going to be the date it starts with. But as it ages going forward, it's going to keep that date. It's going to respect your in and sell similar. So I hope that's a good update. I know that's an update a lot of people were asking for. And to be quite honest, it might give us the ability now to in and sell similar without being so afraid of it, because PromoNoMo now still knows what our items were. It's going to keep that date. Oh, we did it again. Okay, Leslie says, I may have said this before, I sell on Etsy, but your advice is usually spot on for online resellers on most platforms. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate you watching. And maybe you can answer that last question we were having too about Etsy.
Do you make enough?
Do you sell on Etsy full time? Is that enough to make a living? Is that a platform that you could scale much like you do eBay? We've not heard that to be the case, but we've not definitively heard that it's not. So I'd love to hear more from you Etsy sellers and let us know. We have had really good luck on Etsy selling old lamps and stuff, but not to the extent that we were like, we could make a living on Etsy. I mean, it's never been to that scale for us. Stephen Vash again says, I have found that whenever you turn off sales or promotions or lower the ad rate, you should in and sell similar everything. This helps to counteract the drop in sales you experience. I also always change the price to make it seem more like a new item. Yeah, if you're doing that manually, I can't argue with that. I can't say that I have data to back that up either. See, I'm really careful. I think you're right, Stephen. I actually do believe that to be true. I think you're right. I've seen evidence of it, but it's not conclusive evidence, I guess, is what I'm saying. I'm very skeptical. I'm a cynic when it comes to hearing eBay myths and you like go touch an item and it's going to sell, or in and sell similar and it's going to sell faster, or promote at this percent and that's the one you got to do, or do this to make the algorithm treat you better. I'm very skeptical of all of that stuff. And it's not because I haven't tried it and it doesn't work. Some of it I've tried and I've seen it work sometimes. Some of it I've tried and seen it work never. I think it's very easy for kind of the old guard of eBay to have always done something, and these myths build over time. And if I can't see it in the data, if I can't prove it out over time, I try not to talk about it that much on here. And I guess you could call me a cynic, and maybe that's it. But when somebody says, if you only turn left, your car lasts longer, and that's just an old myth that's been around for everybody, and everybody believes it, I'm going to be the first guy to turn right. And like I said, maybe that's cynicism. Maybe it's me being contrarian to everything all the time. But I want to see proof of that. So I'm going to turn right and I'm going to find out. And if I get just as many miles turning right as you do turn left, I'll also be one of the first guys to get on here and call bullshit on turning left all the time. So I kind of started a blank slate. When somebody says, do this is what works. Same with promoted listings. When people said, if you're not promoted, you're missing out. And then some YouTubers were streaming from the rooftops, you don't need to promote it, just eBay grabbing money. I just immediately called bullshit on all of it. I was like, from watching enough of these videos from enough different people, one thing and only one thing was clear in that whole situation, and that was nobody actually knows. Everybody has anecdotal evidence what worked on their store once, maybe they tested it one time for a week and it worked, so they leave them on forever. And did those results pan out long term? I see a lot of that type of stuff out there on YouTube where it's not evidence. I mean, if you change your tire one time on your car and all of a sudden your car starts running better, changing your tire did not fix your spark plugs. Something else happened. Like, so I need evidence. I'm an analytical guy. I have to have it. So I'm very disbelieving of a lot of these eBay situations, I guess. And I need to test it myself, which is what we did with promoted listings. So again, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong on your comment. I don't know. I know in and sell similar. Sometimes I in and sell similar and something sells right away. We have at one point in our eBay 4 years here,
Redid everything.
we ended and sold similar 2/3 of the store all in one day. Did we get a whole big push of brand new sales when we ended and sold similar?
I don't remember.
No, we didn't. We absolutely didn't. Matter of fact, we still had old stuff selling. Some of the new stuff is again a year old. Like it's not to say that in and sell similar doesn't work, because I think there is something to that. You get that new item boost and great. But I haven't seen enough evidence of it to say this is an actual fact. And until I do, I don't know that I can buy into in and sell similar. Might be a bad one, because I have actually seen that work enough times to where I'm leaning towards yes, that's a thing. But you kind of get the gist. But with these eBay legends and stuff, I buy in very slow. Let's see. That was a long ramble on nothing. Joe Ambley says, "Can I just say the stuttering effect is absolutely hilarious?" He's talking about one of our Saturday videos, a couple videos ago, where we had the bad video. I'm glad somebody liked it. Most people did not. Uh-oh, we got a long one here. Let's see. We got Times Square 9704 says, eBay is making the same mistake that America's shopping malls made, which is partly why shopping malls are now dying. eBay has basically killed the fun. Malls' corporate managers killed the business by charging extremely high store space rents in order to attract only large brand corporate chain stores, chasing away the eclectic, interesting mom and pop stores. The mall's common area atmosphere became cold, with cheery indoor trees and water fountains being removed, and chain stores becoming focused instead on mall common areas, being focused on experience for visitors. I don't know. Again, this is me being cynical. Or contrarian, maybe even a little. I don't know that that's true. I think e-commerce killed the malls. And the reason I think that, and I'm not saying what you're saying isn't true too. I think they could both be true. I think that maybe has an effect. But the reason I believe it was e-commerce primarily that killed the malls is because it didn't just kill the malls. It killed main streets. You go down the main street of any of these towns. We live in a college
Unless
town.
it's a service industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't really kill a lot. You can't go to the internet to get a haircut.
Right. I mean, the service industry, they're doing just fine on main streets of America, but there used to be an old shoe store. We own what used to be an old Marshall store on the main street of the town we live in. And those old stores, the retail stores, not the service stores and the barbers and the tax places and the bars, those guys survived it just fine. But every retail store on Main Street of America just kind of took it in the shorts with e-commerce getting larger. That's kind of the way I've always seen it. And maybe some of that corporate America greed and making things fold and feeding that bottom line and focusing on that. I'm not saying that didn't have something to do with it. I'm sure it probably did. But I think e-commerce had a much larger hand in killing the malls and the main streets and all local businesses, except service businesses, really. Let's see here. Two Chicks Resell says, love the quote, something my grandmother used to say all the time, what's your whistle? And thank you both for all the shout outs and support. That reminds me, I'm thirsty. All right. Thank you, Two Chicks Resell. Connie Lou says, absolutely interested in your application. It is available. PromoNoMo.com.
What's her name? Cindy Lou?
That's what it said.
Carolou?
Connie Lou.
Connie-
Connie Lou. Did I
Connie-
say it different?
Oh, no, you did. I was just gonna say Connie Loo-hoo.
Connie Lou Who. It is the time of year for it. MG 2023 Faith says, I agree with you. Not mentioning the trolls is wise. I believe you are an excellent reseller because you thrive despite being in rural areas. Many others like Justin, Lonnie, and Candace, Julian and Kayla, Commonwealth, Kevin, etc., all seem to be near to residential and suburban or even urban communities. I'm thinking of starting reselling very small items to get started, pins, patches, cards, etc. I just don't have my own place or own space. I want to list my own art on Etsy, but I don't have the quality art prints. My traditional original artworks don't look professional enough yet. Starting with those small items, I think you should. I think you should just dive in. It's a very low entry point. I mean, it's very small risk, and it's a very easy entry point to get in. We sell a ton of patches and pins and lapel pins and cufflinks and like all the stuff, jewelry and rings, and that's a very easy place to get into, and it's very easy stuff to store. Matter of fact, Teresa,
Yeah.
can you come grab this thing?
Grab what thing?
If you have a closet, just a closet, and you want to get into smalls like that, jewelry and stuff, grab that hanger thing. We buy these hanger organizers off Amazon.
Oh, good.
And you could just hang these in your closet like a shirt.
And I can fit 80 items in here.
Yep.
I do number them. I do put sticky tape on it so that I can letter them so I know which one's which. But, you know.
So literally, if you have a hall closet where you hang coats, you could probably get a few thousand pieces of inventory in a hall closet without taking up any house space. And it's a very easy entry point to get started. So I would say,
Well, yours is
jump
too.
in. Yeah, mine is too with
Because you
ephemera.
have a
But
bookshelf.
ephemera does take up more space more quickly, but it's still a small item. It's easy to store. Silver Hair Stacker Todd says, bam, another wondrous Saturday video accomplished. Thank you, Todd. Benny Stratton. Benny had a lot of comments on here. Benny, I'm not going to read them all. They were very, very long, large comments, and I don't think we could get through them in one Saturday shop talk. We'd have to do two, maybe a Sunday shop talk too. But I will start off with this one. If you've not noticed, eBay just updated active inventory now on some items. This message pops up above the edit button. Low ad rate, increase ad rate to stay competitive. Almost exactly what Google Ads says about items that you're promoting too low. They're 100% trying to be Google Ads with the eBay ecosystem. Yeah, I think I talked about that a little bit earlier in the video. They are on the app starting to put up those, hey, dummy, promote more, or these aren't promoted, promote them at this big percent. They're starting to do that, and they're trying very hard to get people to promote. And they're making it very easy to just say, yeah, go ahead, like one button, and it promotes them at 16, 20%, whatever. So be careful on your eBay app what you push, because it's almost a little sleazy the way they're doing it, because you can accidentally hit that button just to get rid of the pop-up, and it'll promote all your listings at their crazy high percentage. So be careful. Let's see. Benny has one more. I can't read the whole comment, but I can read what'll fit on one screen here, or at least get the gist of the comment here. The thing is, down economy recession, which we are 100% in. If you sold during the 08 recession, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Since last year, maybe even late 2023, I could see the buying habits changing. They reminded me of what the 4-year Great Recession, where buyers wanted everything for 50% off. No one had money, or the money they had just a year or two prior. This lasted about 4 years, and sellers that survived were the ones that could offer what the buyers wanted. I don't think we have to dig too much deeper into that comment. I kind of understand where he's going here. I know we've addressed this before, and this is, okay, get ready, guys. This is a hot take. I take a lot of shit for saying this, and I'm okay with it. So if you don't buy into this, I'm not asking you to. It's fine. This whole, we're in a recession, people don't have money, we got to sell cheaper things, we got to offer discounts. I'm going to try not to swear here. Hogwash. Absolute hogwash. Are we in a recession? Is the country in a recession? Do people have less money? Sure. I'm not arguing that. There's a lot of people that are having a hard time and they have less money.
That doesn't
And here's where this card, let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna pick that one up. Here's where I get into trouble, because we were in e-commerce through the 2008 debacle, and before and after. And the trick is, quit trying to sell shit to broke people. Stop. Don't do that. Sell to people that have money. No matter what the recession, no matter how bad the country is, there is always a set of people that have expendable income, period. Find out what they want, sell that. You might have to adjust your business. Maybe I'm selling postcards today, and the collectors that collect postcards are the ones that don't have money. Fine. Maybe I got to switch up, and maybe I got to sell some. Maybe I got to sell jewelry, or watches, or something like that. Like, I do believe certain segments run into hard times and all that. I get that, but I can't bury my head in the sand and say, well, the country's all having trouble and nobody has money, and I have to give my stuff away for free. I think that's completely a defeatist attitude, and a real business doesn't buy into that. They can't afford to buy into that. If you want to survive, like we survived through the 2008 stuff, we just made sure we were selling items to people that had expendable income. Selling to people who are broke is the fastest way to go out of business. They always want a discount. They're the first ones to whine and complain and want to get half their refund back. And even if nothing's wrong, they're like, well, if I just complain and squeak a little bit, most companies just give me a partial refund. And like, they're always the ones doing that. Somebody buying a $200 photo from 1903 of a high school they went to, those aren't the people that go in and say, well, I wish you'd give me like $8 back because the envelope was scuffed. Stop selling to broke people. And that fixes all the recession talk. It goes away. Is there a recession? Sure. Is it affecting a lot of people? Sure. But if you're broke, you can't help them either. Stop selling to broke people. That's my rant on that. I apologize. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. I think the economy is the biggest creator of opportunity when it's bad. I don't buy into this. The economy's bad. I have to suffer crap. So that, and I'm not preaching at you, Benny. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I just hear a lot of people fall down that line of thinking. And I think it's the fastest way to go out of business. I hate hearing it because we have never done better than when the economy is bad, because we're willing to look for opportunities when the economy is horrible that pay off dividends when it does come back and it's good. So that's kind of the way we approach bad economies. Let's see, 2.0 bits and bobs. We sell similar every 60 days, so the listing has time to marinate before we start it over. But we do care about how old the listing is, so we put that in the SKU to keep track of. We understand not wanting to do the extra step, but for us, we're already putting the location in the SKU, so it takes 2 more seconds. Also putting the listing date, that way when we sell similar every 60 days, we can keep an eye on the listing. Sometimes adjust if needed. We sometimes even fix mistakes we didn't know were in the listing, which could be the reason it hasn't sold. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. The only argument I have against that at all is you said it just takes an extra 2 seconds, and that's great. And you're absolutely right. If those 2 seconds are available in your day, or you don't mind spending those extra 2 seconds on that project, you have nowhere else to spend those other 2 seconds. 2 seconds times, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 1,000.
You can count?
So you got 1,000, 1,200 items a week times 4 weeks in a month times 52 weeks in a year, or times 52 weeks in a year. That 2 seconds adds up into something really meaningful, really fast. So I know it's a small thing, and I know it's really quick and easy to do. But even if it caused me another 2 seconds, when you're doing things like these cards and stuff where it's at scale, where you're listing that kind of quantity, and not everybody is, I totally get that. If you're listing 10 items a day, that extra 2 seconds isn't adding up in a way that's going to harm you. But for us, that I'm just explaining why it made such a big deal for us. Because in 3 of our stores, once things are all up and running good, we're listing those kind of quantities every single day. So that extra 2 seconds is very meaningful, and it adds up very, very quickly. Let's see, who do we got next here? We got Random Acts of Thrifting says, what method do you use to find eBay listings that would make good sourcing options? How do we find the dollar auctions? So 2 questions here he's asking. We mentioned that we source on all kinds of places, and one of them is eBay. eBay is a great place to source. There's no magic trick to it, really. I mean, it's not a special search we're using. We're not looking for misspellings. We're not doing any of that crazy stuff. What we're doing is if I'm selling postcards, I'll literally go to eBay and I'll look for postcard lots. And sometimes if I'm feeling really clever, I'll go look at just the reseller lots, the postcard lots that are on auction, and I'll sort by ending soonest. Sometimes there's some great opportunity there. But just looking for lots. 2 years ago, if we came across an entire shoebox of postcards, we would have put them on eBay for like $10. And we would have just let them go because we didn't do postcards. We didn't want postcards. There's a million people doing that still with items they don't do or they don't want. We sell big lots of Barbies, 30 Barbies at a time for what, $30?
55.
20 or $30 for like $35. Those Barbies are all worth
20.
$5, $10, $20 a piece if you identify them and take the time to build the listings.
20 Barbies
20
for
Barbies
$35.
for $35.
Between 29
So
and
that's,
30.
that's what I mean. We put great bulk lots of things that we are no longer messing with on eBay constantly. And people buy them. They buy them up right away. So not only can you get rid of stuff like that, you can find some amazing deals. Jewelry, watches.
Jewelry's a good one. You can buy it by the pound.
Yeah, you buy jewelry by the pound. I mean, just there's amazing deals on eBay every single day. So you just have to know what you're looking for. Obviously, you can't go on eBay and say, show me all the stuff that I can buy profitably. You have to kind of figure out what you want to look for. In my case, I look for postcards and I find postcards.
I will give one other comment on how to look for stuff. If there's something that's commonly misspelt as well.
Yeah, I just said we don't really do that. You do?
No, I have, but I don't a whole lot. But yeah, you can definitely look up things that are misspelt.
I have heard people talk about that. I think J.R. did an entire video on that. So that is a thing that people do apparently. I haven't really looked into that. If I found something like that, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great thing. But I think you're counting on a few factors when you're looking at misspellings. One, they had to have misspelled it and made it not show up in search. And it had to have not shown up in search for a long time. They've been sitting on it and they're like, you know what? Okay, this has been around. It just ain't selling. And they're willing to dump it off. But people selling stuff in lots that they don't want to process, that's way more common. It's way easier to find. T. Brownell says, I'm so impressed. You are brilliant. And what a wonderful idea. Thank you, T. Brownell.
Hold on. You're getting him a big head by telling him he's brilliant.
You're not, because I don't believe you, but I do appreciate the compliment. Disgruntled Octopus says, AFOL Dreams might be a play on AFOL, which is an adult fan of Lego. He might be right. We were wondering what that meant, and he may absolutely be right. I didn't know that was a thing, but after he said that, I looked it up. That is a thing. They're adult fans of Lego. I am not one of those. I am not a fan of Lego, adult or otherwise. But I think you're right. Jenna Weeks says, hey, y'all, thank you so much for the trinket items. I love them. They were packed great. Thank you, both of you, for sharing your knowledge and experience. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for buying the trinket boxes. They were on the dollar auction. There's actually, if you're into trinket boxes, there's 2 more decent sized lots on the dollar auction right now for, I believe they're ending not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So you've got time to look at those if you want. They've all been checked over. No cracks or anything like that. They're all nice trinket boxes. So those are out there if you're interested. Man, I'm telling you, these embossed cards are a pain in the rear end.
Proud of you.
Why?
You said it correctly.
I said it correctly. I tried. I thought about it. Cards in the closet. It says, now I have the journey lyrics. I get the joy of rediscovering you stuck in my head. I don't know why. We must have said something, but I will say this. You're welcome. Having a good song stuck in your head makes for a whole lot better day. I wish I could go through every day with a song stuck in my head. That's what I tell Teresa when she scowls at me and I'm smiling, is I've got a song in my heart. You can't mess with me today. That's not true, but it might be true from now on. Black Cat Flips. That's a new name. I don't think I've seen that one before.
I don't remember that one either.
I enjoy this format more than the regular What's Sold. Please keep doing this. I'm very intrigued by the app you made to have tiers for your promotion campaigns. Would you be willing to share? We are. PromoNoMo.com. That's the app. And thank you for watching. I haven't seen your name in here before, so welcome to Grams and Pops. Nancy Bingham says... Bingham says... No, there's no N. Bigham.
Sorry, Nancy.
With the in and sell similar, you can still see how old it is if you enter the date into the listed, and the SKU remains after it's relisted. Yep. Yep, we knew that. We were just avoiding the extra work. But I think a lot of people do exactly what you're saying. Ayokum 4520 again says, I agree about cross listing. I focus my energy on building my eBay business and avoid the complexity. Question for next Saturday. My husband retires in 4 years and we plan on teaming up as resellers. That's a good move. You'll never be happier. I'm telling you, working together as a team, if you guys work well together like Teresa and I do, you're going to love that. I'm very excited about it because he's knowledgeable about sports tools, cards, etc. All areas I avoid like a plague. How do you manage the work stuff with the married stuff? That's a great question.
Don't talk.
Don't talk? Are you saying that's the answer?
Yep.
Don't talk? No.
I'm just kidding.
I think the answer for us, especially if you're a married couple doing this, and there's a lot of married couples doing this, so I'd be interested in hearing their input too. For us, the work stuff is the married stuff. I mean, this is something we do together every day, day in, day out. It's just part of our married stuff. Now, I will say what makes this work for us is that I'm very good at one set of things, and Teresa is very good at another set of things. And we kind of know where each one of our roles are, and we don't step on each other's toes in those roles. If I'm very good at the analytical side and the promotion side and things like that, Teresa doesn't come in and say, hey, I think you should change your promotions because you're doing it wrong. Just like when Teresa's very good at sitting out here for hours on end, listing the tedious things that I wouldn't do, I'm not going to come out and tell her, you did that wrong. Do it this way instead. I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen. I'm not saying there isn't some overlap and some mistakes along the way. But defining your roles and figuring out what each of you is good at and then respecting those roles, I think that's what really makes this work as a team. And I think when it doesn't work, that's where the struggle happens, is in when one of you are jumping the fence into the other's territory or into the other role, not territory. We're not peeing on a tree saying this is my part. But when you jump into the role of the other person, it's almost a little bit, it can be or feel a little bit insulting and frustrating because frustrating. Teresa's getting me on pronunciation here. So I think that would be my best advice. In that first year, really try and define what you're both good at and then stay out of each other's way. If she really is good at that thing, me interfering is only going to hurt us. So I think that's the way with any team, whether you're a boss and you have employees or have to work in a team in any aspect. The question you have to ask yourself is, are we doing better because we're doing this together? And if the answer is yes, stay out of their way. If the answer is no, don't do it together. Do something different. Each of you do your own thing. So I hope that helps. That's kind of the way we approach it. I don't think we could do half what we do if we did this apart. So us doing this together is a no-brainer, and we stay out of each other's way. Nelly's Emporium says the what sold videos are more useful than just the picking videos. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Let's see. And another botch. Hopefully these will go through this time. We'll give it a shot. Nelly's Emporium again says, I think I will use your guidance to stop it. In and sell similar in January, start to new, no promotions, and adjust 30, 60, 90 days with promotions. The result sounds like it'll be similar to running sales. Yep. Give it a try and let us know. We're still doing it very much the same. If you do get to, if you do look at your store and it looks like you can justify going PromoNoMo and it will save you money, don't do it unless you honestly are at the point where it can save you money. We don't want anybody to just go jump on just to support us. We're doing fine. But if it will save you money, jump on that. And like I said, you can still in and sell similar at that point because it will still keep track of your items' original age from when it first found them. Alicia Does says, not to act like you're an unpaid salesperson, but as someone who ins and relists, I could still see your app being useful depending on the pricing. I do similar system manually with just shorter duration between promotion levels, but it sounds like your app can save me time and I'm all for that. Looking forward to learning more about it.
Yes,
So,
you can.
and good news. Like I just said, it does now support in and sell similar. So, and as far as being my unpaid salesperson, if you join the app, if you're using the app, every user has an affiliate link. So you could be my salesperson, my paid salesperson. Let's see. Tina with the Lake Exchange says, I occasionally in and sell similar, but I adjust the price so I can easily see it's an older item. And I have sold a few things doing it this way, but I don't do this daily either. Yeah, now that's one thing I will warn about with in and sell similar. If you're a PromoNoMo user, if you're inning and selling similar and that's all, you're gonna be fine. It's gonna catch on. If you're changing titles and prices and SKUs around every time you do it, it's gonna see it as a new item. It's not gonna know that you ended and sold similar. So it's working to the best of its ability, but that item still has to be identifiable as the same item. And if it's not, it'll just treat it as a new item. So Trading Post Picker says, what's going on? Hey, Scott. Hope you guys are doing good over there. I'm guessing, well, it's either Scott or Christina. So either way, I hope you guys are doing good. And I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Nellie's Emporium says, yes, I got my stickers. They're so cool with the scan code. She got the Graham to Pops family sticker to join the YouTube subscription. So thank you. And I'm glad you enjoyed the sticker. Mary Montgomery Clifford says, hi, I enjoy listening to your Saturday show as I list or do inventory. I'm a new seller, started in August, and I find your tips valuable. I also enjoy your banter and humor. Some folks just like to complain. Way back in college, I had a friend who asked me if I wanted to join a club she belonged to called the Complainers Club. Really? They enjoyed sitting around and complaining about stuff. I gracefully declined. Some of your trolls must belong to that club. There's no shortage of that. There are actual Facebook groups for like town rants.
Rants and raves.
Where people just join the group literally to complain about stuff in town. It's crazy. The amount of energy it takes to be angry about something and complain about something. They can't be productive people if they're complaining all the time. It's just not a possible thing. You waste too much of your energy complaining. So I agree. I probably would have not so gracefully declined that club. And welcome to Reselling. I hope you guys are doing great this fourth quarter. Let's see, we take that one out of there. You do not want to go through. Try with just two of them. Cole Better says eBay is evil. They literally laugh me off when I call them for help. They know they always have arbitrated your rights. They know they have arbitrated your rights away.
Get it out.
I don't know. I don't believe that. I guess. Let me say that.
We have never had issues calling eBay.
I have had the extent of my bad experience on eBay, as far as bad experiences go, with eBay themselves, is sometimes you'll get a rep when you call in and you need help. Sometimes you'll get a rep that's just not qualified to believe. Like there is the occasional, and it's very occasional. It doesn't happen often. Very occasionally, you'll just get a very unintelligent person or somebody that just, they don't want to help you. Hang the phone up and call back. Like they have a lot of
Wait
reps.
a little bit to call back.
Wait a few minutes, but you'll almost never get the same person. Our experience with eBay has been nothing but positive. Have we had complaints? Sure. But do I think eBay is the devil? No. I mean, it's just eBay has treated us way too good. We make a living because eBay exists. And not a bad living. We make a good living because eBay exists.
I can buy hot dogs.
We can buy hot dogs. Our Thanksgiving dinner for the whole family paid for by eBay. I can't hate on eBay. Do they do some stuff that I absolutely think makes no sense and I don't like? Yeah, but it's not my playground. I'm just playing on it. So I have to be like, okay, that sucks, but there it is. I don't know if I agree with that. See, Shane Soda City says, I'm very disappointed that you didn't remember my comment was from the video 2 Saturdays ago. Shane.
Well, he also didn't reiterate it.
Shane, I'm not having it, buddy. I did read your comment. I don't have to remember him. Leave me alone. That's it. We're going to end on Shane's comment. That was it. My card's just finished. This was timed out almost like it was planned, and it was not. So I think that's it for the day. What do you think?
It is. We gotta go eat some turkey
We got to go eat some turkey leftovers.
and some pie.
Yep.
So much for the diet. Weigh in tomorrow.
All right.
Oh wait, sorry, weigh in Sunday, not tomorrow.
That's it for Saturday Shop Talk. We will see you guys Wednesday.